Hey Gearheads, and welcome to Garage Talk, a discussion about all things automotive. I'm Cory.
And I'm Matt. And each week this podcast will serve as a catalyst for discussion on all sorts of topics that grind our gears, rev our engines, or just need a bit more conversation.
And on this week's episode, we've got a fun discussion ahead of us. So we are well into our annual GT Dream Car Bracket Challenge on Facebook and Instagram. This is our second year doing it. And it has been a blast so far and looks to be a continual blast for a few more days to come. It's been really fun, not only compiling this bracket from votes that you, our listeners, submitted of what your dream cars are, but now we have gotten to the part where you, our listeners, vote head-to-head on which cars make the cut. And as we narrow this bracket down from 64 cars down to one winner, it'll be very interesting to see who wins.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. You're already in a world of hurt.
Yeah, my bracket got busted day one. So thank you for that, listeners and fans.
That's okay. The little bit of March Madness news that I've heard, everyone in the world's bracket were busted this past couple of days too. So
yeah, I don't keep up so much with any of the sports lately. Life's been crazy trying to, start a business and get that going. So
right, yeah.
Extracurricular viewing, stuff like that has taken a hit over the past year or so. But this has been fun. So this is a bracket challenge I can wholeheartedly get behind. And it has been a very fun one for sure.
Yeah.
So just a quick recap. If this is news to you in general, first, I'm sorry, we should have done this episode last week kind of as a ramp up for the bracket challenge because now we are a week into it.
Yeah.
And we actually started voting on our Facebook page and our Instagram page on our stories. And if you don't know how to do that, just click on our profile pic and it'll pop up. There should be 4 matches each day, head-to-head comparison between some pretty awesome cars, and those were all submitted by our listeners and our fans, and we thank you for that. I did my best to make a logical bracket of the craziness that was submitted. I did have to pull in 1 or 2 just to round it out and make it fit. I know Bill Taylor, the vehicle nanny, asked me today, he's like, dude, what is with all these Teslas? They've got a passionate fan base.
That's true, yeah.
So there were a lot of Teslas in there, and judging how voting is going so far today, granted, we still technically have 12 hours of voting left as of this recording, but it's from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., and historically, I've not seen a lot of voting in those hours.
Right. So
I can kind of count today's voting as done, and no Teslas made it out of today's round. So it seems like even though people voted for Teslas yesterday, today they just weren't having it. They were like Bill, they were over it. They're like, too many Teslas. We're done here. So it was a good one. So I figured you and I. Tonight is the first chance we're actually reviewing each other's brackets. Yeah. And we can do a little smack talk and discussion about who won and where we're going from there. And
you didn't win.
No, I didn't. You didn't win either.
Not yet.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure yours is busted. I have not gone through it in detail just yet.
I have the ultimate car in the winner's circle.
I mean, it is interesting. We'll tease this one right now that you and I both picked a 60s vehicle for the winner of it all.
That's true.
And it is not the 60. If you've been listening to us for a year, it's not the 60s car on my bracket that you would imagine that I have in the winner's circle for this one. So I was as shocked as anyone else. Let me just tell you that. So the way I went about filling out my bracket, I know you put more thought into it than I did because I did the whole, this is going to be hard. I did first instinct and think wrong, think long, or vice versa. Yeah. Think
right.
long, think wrong. There we go.
Right.
Thank you. And so that was my philosophy in filling this one out is do it quickly and just let the natural reaction flow of
Sure.
what would make it. So hence my final four and my winner being what it was. I truly shocked at what came about. So
Are we going to indulge the listeners about?
we'll
what
get
our-
there.
Oh,
We'll
okay.
get there.
All right.
Yeah, we'll just tease them. They'll have to keep listening all
Right,
the way to the
yeah.
end to find out exactly what we picked to win it all.
Gotcha.
Each.
Okay.
Well, maybe not the end. We've got a little Easter Jeep Safari news that dropped today. As of this recording, we are Monday, March 22nd.
Yeah.
So some EJS news came out. All electric Jeep. Very excited about
Yeah.
that with a manual transmission. So
Easter Jeep Safari
Yeah.
starts this weekend.
Yeah,
Believe
yeah.
it or not.
So-
I cannot believe it's Easter already.
we're here. Like, where did the year go? I mentioned on last week's episode of the podcast that my son turned 3 last weekend,
Yeah.
and like, what?
Yeah.
First off, where'd the last 3 years go? But where has 2021 gone? It's like the calendar changed. It snowed twice. The power went out. The water went out, and here we are. So
Pretty much. Yeah.
it's been a crazy year in Texas. But we're here to talk bracket challenge. So I've got mine in front of me. You've got yours in front of you.
Uh-huh.
So we'll just kind of go matchup by matchup here.
Okay. All right.
And keeping in mind, some of these, the voting has already closed on. And as we get into the second, third rounds and down into there,
Well, and
those haven't quite made it yet.
yeah, we're once we get on down in, Sweet 16, Elite 8, all those are not yet
As of this recording.
as of this recording. Some of them will be done before Friday, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But not all of them. So
So as we do talk about these brackets, Matt and I will discuss what we have picked, and then I will let you know what has finalized as of this recording. And you can check out our Facebook and Instagram just to keep up with where we've been. And if you are on Instagram, more often than not, the Instagram vote tally by itself is a good indicator of who actually wins. And Instagram has this cool little thing where you can, do a story highlight. So you can see the entire voting process on Instagram. You just go to our profile page and hit 2021 bracket, and you can click your way on through there and see the percentages for each vehicle. So jumping right into it.
yeah. So I have a question for you.
Okay.
Because I don't imagine our listeners want to hear 64 different
You're right.
vehicles and matchups and all that. So what is first round, what are 2 matchups that were like the worst, most difficult decision for you?
So the Jaguar E-Type versus the Ferrari 250 GTO. Those are 2 very iconic vehicles, very beautiful vehicles of that era. And that one was a tough one for me. Let's see. We had a lot of... So the way this bracket came down is there's a giant chunk of classics, a giant chunk of electrics, then there's a chunk of TV, movie vehicles, and then performance vehicles, whether it be off-road or on-road. And so that's generally kind of how this breaks down. And at some point, you're going to get some crossovers between, like, the electrics are going to be going up against the classics, which
Right.
is a fun little twist.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Old school versus new school. So
Right.
that one was fun to draft out as I was creating this bracket in the first place. So, that one was tough. And then getting into the electric stuff, there really wasn't a hard one there because there was a lot of Tesla.
There was a lot of
and
Tesla.
I think people generally are kind of getting a little tired of it just in the news, and they're wanting to see what's new and stuff like that. So I'd say the hardest one for me was that Jaguar E-Type versus the Ferrari.
Okay. I don't know for sure. I asked you a question. I don't know that I'll be able to answer. Okay. I'll do this. The hardest one for me to answer was General Lee versus the Smokey and the Bandit.
No, okay.
I had to think a while on that one. Of course, the General won out. But the other one that I struggled a little bit with, and I think this one will surprise you, was the Acura NSX C8 combination. Both mid-engine.
Right.
Both have terrible flaws.
Right.
both are modern, inexpensive supercars.
Correct.
Both have things that I like a whole lot about.
Mm-hmm.
Both have things that I despise.
Mm-hmm.
So
that was a tough one.
it was. I struggle with that one because one day I want to own an NSX. Probably about the time you get a C8,
Yeah.
I'll end up with an NSX.
Then
so
we can have a real life matchup. That'd
right,
be fun.
exactly.
I'd be game for that.
But I ended up putting the C8 out on that one over the NSX. Just the hybrid element of the NSX bothers me a little bit.
Yeah.
And the way that they've put all that together. But
and you say it every week when we interview somebody, the best engines have 8 cylinders. So
it's true. Yeah.
Just by that metric alone,
right.
You had to pick the C8. So going down that side of the bracket. So, I was just looking down the left side, the right side, tough decisions for me. Wrangler versus Raptor. That one was a hard one to even design against one another. I am team Wrangler, so I'm a little biased against Ford, and I see the Wrangler as more customizable and it has a more faithful community. So I picked that one moving forward. There was an interesting one. I am a GM fanboy, but Cadillac CT5V Blackwing versus the Lexus IS500 that just was announced by Lexus this year. That was an interesting one for me. And then one that was really interesting to pair up, again, I said there were performance on-road and off-road kind of blended together, was the Bentley Continental GT versus the Ram TRX.
Yeah, no competition there at all.
It was more interesting that's how it got paired up, but yeah, Ram TRX all the way.
I have to make a correction, Corey. I actually picked the NSX over the C8. I was looking at your bracket.
Oh, same.
I've already messed up the whole thing. We just got to start over.
Yeah.
Let me hit the button again.
There you go. So,
no, just kidding.
Yep. So as of the recording of this, I'll run through some that have been completed.
Okay.
And y'all can voice your concerns or your frustrations with how voting has gone so far on our Facebook and Instagram. But let's see. Starting it off, we had the GTO Judge against 57 Chevy. That was no contest in the GTO's favor, so the Judge wins out. And I don't know if I want to completely spoil it just yet, but the Ferrari versus the E-Type, I was shocked. It was close, 7-point differential here, but the Ferrari won out over the E-Type. Very interesting there. I think it may be more brand recognition than anything else, or it could have been the picture I chose.
We both. I did notice the colors made a big difference on the vehicles. Yeah. Seeing a picture of the rig in different colors helps a lot. We both picked the E-Type, and we both
lost out on that one. Yeah. So this one shocked me, floored me, because Bill Taylor, the vehicle nanny, nominated the 79 Camaro for obvious sentimental reasons for him.
Right.
Definitely not the pinnacle of Camaros by any means. I put it up against the Prowler, thinking, the Prowler was cool, different, interesting. Granted, it was not athletic really by any stretch, but it was cool to look at, and it was a cool cruiser. It was a no contest in the Camaro's favor. So that one was an interesting outcome.
Well, and we both picked the Prowler.
Yeah.
We're not good at our own game, Cory.
Busted.
Yeah, basically.
This one was a little bit of a shock to me. So the Ferrari Testarossa against the Aston Martin DB4, both classic vehicles of their era, and DB4 beat the Ferrari handily. So that one was kind of a shocker, especially knowing some of the demographics that I get of our listening audience. That one shocked me a little bit. This one, Mercedes SL300 Gullwing versus the Lamborghini Miura. So the original supercar,
right,
against this awesome Gullwing beauty of a vehicle, and the Mercedes won handily. Then the one that caused you much disdain, the Shelby Cobra versus a Viper GTS.
I'm not convinced that you didn't put some of these pairings together just to irk me.
Oh, maybe not just you. This one was fun, just because the Viper wouldn't have happened if it weren't for the Cobra. Like,
Well, yeah,
so that one was just fun to see. All right, how's this going to shake out?
sure.
And it was 3-1 in favor of the Cobra.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was no contest there.
Wow.
And I even posted pictures of them in the same color scheme. So
Yeah.
the Viper GTS came out in 96 with the blue-white paint scheme to to look like the Shelby Cobra. So that one was interesting. McLaren F1 versus the DeLorean. Again, 3-1 in the McLaren's favor. The Audi.
It's not a pretty car.
The DeLorean?
No, well, neither one of them. But the McLaren, that the 90s were not good. The car makers.
Yes, but as many pointed out last year, so the McLaren lost out to the Viper GTS last year. Both have very passionate fan bases.
Oh, yeah.
Both in and outside of our listening audience. And the McLaren just has this iconic status in the car world because there are so few of them out there.
Right.
And it was so outrageously insane for the time. It held the record for the fastest car for how long? Like 20 years? It was ridiculous.
It's still ugly.
Well, so is the DeLorean if it's, not done right.
Well, yeah, I mean, loaded out as a time machine, it looks a little better, but...
There you go. Next up, speaking of not super attractive cars, the 1984 Audi Quattro.
Oh, I skipped ahead. I thought you were going to talk about the Camaro. That's
Well, it was going
69.
up against the 69 Camaro Z28, so that was the matchup there. And the Camaro won out handily there, 3-1. So sorry, Chad. I know you nominated the Audi there. My apologies. My dream car won out. So we'll see if it makes it.
It's Cory's fault. There's a shirt on
GTGarageTalk.com. Click on
website.
shop, and it's
Cory's fault. That originated this time last year
Yes,
when
it
you were
did.
putting all this together anyway. So
Yep. All right, so the back of my sheet here is all electric vehicles, so you can go ahead, roll your eyes, push any sound effect button over there that you want, the sad trombone or whatever. But the future is electric. We did not speak about electric vehicles at all last week, so we're coming in full force this week.
oh boy.
Yeah, so yes, just
I think I'm going to mandate moving forward in the podcast at least one episode a month.
with no electric vehicle talk.
Absolutely no electric vehicle discussion at all.
Well,
and if we miss a month based on whoever it is we're talking to,
Yeah.
that's 2 for the following month. So
interesting.
yeah.
Well, see, we were doomed from the get-go because of all the EJS news coming out today in the electric Wrangler, so that ain't happening.
Stupid EVs.
You did say just this week.
What
you
did I
not?
say?
You said that you might be able to get behind them if it was the video of the Mach-E drifting in the snow.
Oh, yeah. There's still too much money.
They are.
There's still the infrastructure is not there.
It's getting better.
But it's going to take 20 years for it to catch up.
Yeah.
It's just and still, even still, this electric vehicles are going to save the world baloney is the driving force behind it. And I'm sorry, but that's the wrong reason to make an electric vehicle.
I'm excited about them for the fun reasons and the instant torque and stuff like that. And the packaging, you can make a different type of vehicle.
Oh, definitely.
When you go all electric, but yeah, that's just me. Anyway, diving into it. So we had 2 vehicles that kind of compete with one another. They will be cross-shopped because of their size, dimensions, and price point.
This was another one I thought you pitted up against each other just for me.
No, because our good friend Alex on Autos even tested both of these side by side and did a whole 30-minute video talking about how these two go against each other head to head.
Okay.
And how, again, similar price point, similar-ish packaging, but 2 totally different missions. So the VW ID4, if you don't know what that is Volkswagen's first all-electric vehicle here in the States, and it is launching the first of this sub-brand. ID is intelligent design, and so overseas they have the ID3, and it's supposed to be like the next generation of people's car. So the first people's car was the Beetle, and then the next one was the Golf. And so this is supposed to be the third ID3 iteration of the people's car for the future. So we didn't get that. We got the crossover version of it called the ID4, and it's pitted up against the Mustang Mach-E, which has its own issues behind it, and it's more marketing than it is anything else. But Ford is really putting that thing up against the Model Y.
Yeah.
And VW is really going up against just mainstream vehicles with theirs.
I had yet another conversation this week with somebody saying if they had just not put the Mustang name on that car.
But if they hadn't called it a Mustang, would so many people be talking about it?
No. And that's the brilliance of what they're doing with it, too.
And there's so much conversation about it. And on top of that, outside of the GT version, which is yet to officially launch,
right?
We know all the details about it. It's going to be
pretty mean.
Yeah, a Tesla competitor for sure. But outside of the GT version, like, it's kind of a boring car if you take the Mustang element away from it.
Right.
There are cool things about it. Like I said, EVs are cool, instant torque, stuff like that. The interior packaging is interesting. It's a departure from Ford as of late, with the speaker that goes across the dash, and there's some cool things about it. But you, our listeners, picked 2-1 the Mach-E over the ID4, and I am not surprised whatsoever about that.
I'm not either. Yeah.
Now for the Tesla. So the Model S Plaid against its main competitor from Lucid, the Lucid Air. I think this one is more brand recognition than anything. Lucid is a startup company that is trying and succeeding as far as, the stat sheet goes, taking on the Model S. And unfortunately for our listening audience, it's not enough just yet. So the Model S squeaked out a victory over the Lucid Air, just a 3-point differential there.
There were 2 or 3 of these that I had to Google to remember or know what they were.
Yeah, to see all the details about them.
This was one of them.
The next one, Model X against the Cadillac Lyriq. So this one was the first, I don't want to say concept vehicle, but just unreleased vehicle. That was
pre-production.
Yeah. So we know pretty much all the details, but nobody's really gotten to test the Cadillac Lyriq yet. And again, self-proclaimed GM fanboy over here. I'm not in love with it.
But you picked it over the Model X.
Well, yes, just because it's different. And again, Tesla. But I just... I don't know what it is about the styling, but something about it is just odd. So I'm waiting to see one in person.
Yeah.
And to see how I feel about it before coming to any final conclusions. But the Model X did win out. So 2 Teslas did make it into the next round, and it was the OG Teslas of this list, the Model S and X. Next up, the Jaguar I-Pace against the Model Y, and the I-Pace squeaked out a victory, so kudos to Jag for a very competent crossover-ish, hatchback-ish electric vehicle.
It's probably the prettiest of most, if not all, of these EVs. It's got some shapes.
I'd say the next grouping, which is today, Monday, the 22nd's voting matchup, has got some pretty good lookers in it. So the Tesla Roadster, amazingly stunning vehicle.
Meh.
Yeah. And the Audi e-tron GT.
I did like the Audi.
So did most of our fans as of this recording. So no Tesla Roadster. The Porsche Taycan versus the Model 3. No Model 3 moving forward, so the Porsche moves on. So that and the e-tron, it'll be interesting to see those go head-to-head because they are essentially the same vehicle.
Basically, yeah.
Just with their own company's flair on the bones of it all.
I'm going to rabbit trail just for a quick second.
Go for it.
So speaking of the same vehicle, I'm not quite to the point of endorsing the new American Top Gear, but I am watching them so that I can be educated.
I couldn't get past the first episode, and I
was-
just haven't found time
Yeah.
to. Yeah,
It's I'm about 5 or 6 episodes in, and it's hard to swallow sometimes. But they did a test between the Porsche Cayenne Turbo SE hybrid, the Lamborghini Urus, and the Bentley Bentayga Speed.
So that's not. Oh,
That's
they're
not-
all the same vehicle.
It's the same rig.
Yeah,
It's apples to apples to apples with different skin on.
it's a Macintosh apple compared to a Golden Delicious versus a Granny Smith.
Yeah,
what's your flavor?
Yeah, it was. Personally, I thought it was a little ridiculous.
Yeah,
So referring to your same vehicle thing.
e-tron GT versus Porsche Taycan.
Right.
Yep. That's going to be an interesting one, and it really is styling at that point. Which do you prefer?
Yeah.
So this next one, depending on how voting closes out today, could be very interesting, and we could have a round 2 bracket of back-to-back similar vehicles competing against each other, because we already have e-tron GT against Porsche Taycan, same vehicle. And then we've got Hummer EV versus the Rivian R1T, which is the truck version.
Right.
And the ID Buzz against the Rivian R1S, which is the SUV version. That was harder to say than I thought it would be. And it is possible that the Rivians can go head-to-head, and one just has more seats than the other, but it is essentially the same electric SUV truck.
You and I picked completely opposite each other on this too. Did you notice that? You picked the Hummer EV and the VW ID Buzz. I picked the Rivians.
So most of our fans picked the Hummer EV as well. I think there is a lot of buzz surrounding that one.
Right.
The removable roof panels, the return of the Hummer brand, the iconic look and design, which from certain angles they nailed, and from other angles, what is that? But we're getting close to actually seeing those out in the wild.
Yeah.
So they're testing them. The SUV version is going to be announced during the Final Four, I do believe, on air on April 3rd.
They sure are spending some money on that sucker, aren't they?
Yeah, well, they're making $113K on each one.
That's true. Yeah.
So, the top line, the launch edition, I believe is what they call it, is going for $113K. So, sure are a pretty penny to get your foot in the door there. So, anyway, Hummer EV did beat out, or is currently, as of this recording, beating out the Rivian R1T. So that's the truck. But interestingly, the ID Buzz, which again is another unreleased vehicle at this point, it's really the most concept vehicle we have on this list, because it's not official yet. It's unofficially official, but it is the VW Type 2 bus reincarnate. And if ever there was a vehicle that needed to come back as an all-electric vehicle, it was this.
Oh, yeah.
It to a T sums up the electric car movement and everything you hate about the electric car movement, I do believe. But it just seemed perfect to me, and I picked it all the way into the Final Four. I did not have it in the finals, but I figured the nostalgia of it all would carry it well into the Final Four.
Really?
It didn't make it out of the first round. 3-1 vote for the Rivian SUV, the R1S. So there you go. That is the voting as concluded so far.
Yeah.
Some other interesting ones that I've got on my list. I've got Lightning McQueen going all the way to the Final Four. So beating out some of the others. We've been living Lightning McQueen here in this house with the 3-year-olds. So, that one's for you, Tucker. I definitely picked Lightning McQueen going all the way in. Had him beating out the Batmobile to get into the Elite 8, and beating a K5 Blazer to get in the Final Four.
Oh.
So, yeah, there's some star power behind the Lightning McQueen name.
So you tried to pick a little more. Well, no, you said you just knee jerked. But it seems like you're also thinking maybe subconsciously, what are the people going to pick, not just
a little bit, because I also didn't want my bracket busted.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
a little
so
bit,
much for that.
Yeah, got that wrong.
So
Thanks, guys.
Let's see, one, two, three.
Counting how many you've
4,
still got
5,
right now.
6, 7 of the Elite 8 that I have. 7 of them are Ford or Ford affiliate vehicles.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Isn't that?
Yeah, a little brand bias on your part, maybe.
No,
not
at all. Not at all.
I'm actually shocked that you didn't pick the ID Buzz to go further. Being a VW guy.
I think a part of it being more concept than reality, and the Rivians just look so good. They're just really sharp looking rigs.
Yep. And they've got some pretty cool tech behind them. We're yet to get to see or experience one, but a lot of things in our near future. Hopefully one will be at an event that we are also at.
Yeah.
And looking forward to what that company can churn out.
Speaking of, I'll tease this one a little bit, and I'm teasing you with this one too, Cory, because you know that there's an event that I'm going to.
Yes.
In a couple of weeks.
Yes, and I am jealous.
I got an email on it today.
Okay.
Let me see if I can
pull it up on air.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you go off script, man.
I got address information. I got attire information. I got which gate I'm supposed to check in at.
Nice.
Where I'm supposed to park, what the registration looks like, and I'll just leave this little tidbit right here for you, okay? All right. It says 8:30 or 8 o'clock registration, 8:30 welcome and orientation. This is the one I'm excited about, okay? 9 a.m. rotate between road course ride and drive, straight line demonstration, and 100 production immersion.
What was that? Huh?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'll and then 12 p.m. track tour ends.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You're going to have a fun morning ahead of you very soon.
I'm really looking forward to it.
And we're going to have some fun content coming out of that. So, you can follow us and see what all we're into, what we're doing on Facebook at GT Garage Talk, and Instagram at GT Garage Talk, on Twitter at GT Garage Talk, or gtgaragetalk.com. You can keep up with what we're driving, where we're at, what we're testing, because we've got some fun stuff in the books that we're just waiting for the date to pull the trigger on. And
pretty much.
Some first drives for you. We've got some very interesting comparisons that we're working out the logistics of. So we're very excited about the future here at GT Garage Talk and what we can bring you. And all we can say, the easiest way to support us is share this podcast with your friends and family. Get everyone to like and subscribe and all the social media things. But we've got some cool stuff coming your way that we're very grateful for your support, that you keep listening to us, because that allows us to keep doing these awesome things and going to these events where, there's a mix between a track and road course involved in certain emails that we were receiving. I want to give it I want to spoil it for you, but I'm not gonna. So we've got some fun stuff going on, and the first event we're actually both going to together is starting to come together. We registered today for our first ever joint event. Like, how is it that we will be about a year and a half in at the point that we actually go to our first full-fledged event together that isn't our own?
Well, okay, I was going to put the caveat in there. We did have our own event that we were both at, but East Texas, the Texas Auto Riders Association is putting on a
2021 Texas Car Roundup, where we will get to do some first drives for you, and we're very excited about some of the content we will create there at that event, and we'll be getting some awesome pictures, some driving footage. I'm very, very excited about that event, and the fact that we'll actually be somewhere together. Drooling over cars and arguing about what we like and what we don't like. So
basically,
that'll be really fun. Speaking of which, new cars, exciting cars, arguing about what we do and don't like. EJS, Easter Jeep Safari, is upon us. And today, Monday, March 22nd, Jeep announced the rigs they will be taking to Easter Jeep Safari in Moab, Utah this year. And they are bringing the rigs, essentially, I'm guessing that were supposed to go last year, but because of, world pandemics, EJS didn't happen. And they're also bringing vehicles that they came up with this year. And Jeep really uses this as the ultimate fan interaction experience to gauge interest in whether it be a full product launch, whether it be accessories, things of that nature. It really is an awesome testing bed for the Jeep brand because they have some of their most faithful followers and supporters and loyal Jeep owners at this event. And they roll out some pretty wicked, awesome, and crazy concepts each and every year for Easter Jeep Safari. And this year's no different.
Yeah.
So let's see, we've got Jeep Magneto. It is a Jeep Wrangler battery electric vehicle concept, and it actually has a manual transmission in it. So it's very interesting. I was reading a little bit on how they made it all work and why and how and what. But it's a heavy rig for sure because batteries are heavy.
Right.
And they've stuck batteries pretty much anywhere they can, including there is no rear seat in it, so it's a two-seater, two-door Jeep. I found it interesting. I do believe it's got a hood scoop. Why? I don't know. So that was an interesting design choice. But that's Jeep Magneto. Jeepster Beach, which I think is probably my favorite. It is basically a update of a 68 Jeepster Commando, and it is, as they say, it's a totally tubular showpiece that blends a vintage body with a modern drivetrain. So it's the best of both worlds. It's the beautiful looks of the classic with all the new bits of anything brand new that you're kind of sneering over there.
It's not my favorite.
Yeah. Jeep Red Bear, no bones about it. This fully custom Gladiator Rubicon concept pairs a legendary 4x4 capability with ultimate performance with a 91-to-1 crawl ratio, eco-diesel fuel efficiency, and driving range.
91-to-1.
Yeah, I like that one. So I did mention and have in the past that I got to drive the eco-diesel Gladiator at the Texas Auto Riders Texas Truck Rodeo last fall, and I loved that thing. Torque monster, torque for days. I loved it. And so this is just taking it to the extreme. So that one's awesome. The Jeep Orange Peels, which my love for color loves this one. It says, pays tribute to the long-standing open-air fun and freedom lifestyle that makes Jeep Wrangler a global icon. So.
It's interesting. The past several years, actually, there's been something like this one with big windows, small pillars, more of an open-air feel, and people love it. Absolutely swarm to those rigs, and they love the feel of it, the look of it, all that kind of stuff, and Mopar never does anything with it.
And to your point, it's those slim pillars. It's just not modern crash safety rated, so it can't.
They've got a full roll cage in them, though. I can't imagine.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't either. It's just, yeah. Those little things.
So I would say probably the most interesting one of the bunch is the Magneto, which we joked. We did a Facebook Live video when you showed up to record tonight. My son got a fully electric Jeep for his 3rd birthday, and they've been around since we were kids, right? Power Wheels, not sponsored. But, what's the big deal here? It's other than, it's a grown-up sized all electric that can, actually do stuff.
Right.
So, yeah, just kidding about my son's electric Jeep, but this one is quite capable. The powertrain output is equivalent to the Pentastar V6. So 273 pound-foot of torque, 285 horsepower. It's very similar to what you're getting out of the Pentastar. Like I mentioned, it is a heavier rig, but it does actually accelerate quite a bit quicker. So 0 to 60 in 6.8 seconds, which I believe the regular Jeep is somewhere in the 7 to 8 second range. So it'd be a fun little
It's nuts.
on-road, off-road vehicle.
Yeah, it's nuts to me that 10 years ago, like that was, well, maybe 15 years ago, that was like sports car. That was the pinnacle, right?
Yeah.
If you were sub 6 seconds, you were
Now
just
you have to be
nuts
like
fast.
sub 4 or even sub 3
Right.
second.
Yeah. So now we've got a 6,000 pound four-wheel
Jeep.
drive Jeep that's doing
Well,
a 6 second.
going
0
back
60.
to our bracket challenge, the Hummer EV, the fully crazy mode that they call Watts to Freedom, WTF, on the launch edition, will launch that huge 5-passenger truck to
that
0 to
probably
60.
weighs 8,000 pounds.
Yeah, 0 to 60 in the same amount of time as a mid-engine C8 Corvette. So, yeah. Again, when we're talking electric vehicles and what they're capable of, it's that kind of stuff that excites me. When you can get all your stuff and all your friends in a rig and do crazy stuff like that, that's where I get excited. And that's where I'm like, yes, I want to test this. And I want to create some crazy content and videos of these vehicles because the electric world opens up a lot of possibilities. So I'll just read a little bit about this Magneto straight from the press release from Jeep. Powering the Jeep Magneto's e-motor are 4 battery packs with a combined power output of 70 kilowatt hours running an 800-volt system. The lithium-ion batteries are distributed around the Wrangler to balance weight on the 4 wheels. It's got an inverter derived from race cars and converts DC power to AC for the high-tech motor. The batteries and all that still are tucked up high enough that the Jeep can maintain its 30-inch water fording capability, so you don't sacrifice anything there with water fording. And I'm trying to get some of, let's see, where it's talking about the fact that it's actually got a manual transmission built into it. The Jeep Magneto uses a custom-built axial flux electric motor that operates up to 6,000 RPM. The e-motor is connected to a 6-speed manual transmission, creating a unique manual electric powertrain with a clutch that operates as it would on an internal combustion engine. In quick shift scenarios, the e-motor engages regen upon clutch engagement to prevent rev hang. So,
Interesting.
very interesting setup that they've got there. It'd be really interesting to see in action and to hear or not hear.
Right.
But again, when it comes to wheeling and rock climbing and everything that happens out at Moab, electric powertrains have a huge upside. All that instant torque, just available at the tap of a pedal, and you can climb over something slowly, gently, and easily as needed. I mean, it's just very interesting setup.
You're going to try really hard to convince me.
I've been trying since we've started this. So
Is it working?
No, it's not. So anyway, there are. Yeah. I'm gonna get you in an electric rig and see just how much you like it. So, I did get you in a vehicle that had all the vehicle nannies, so to speak, of the adaptive cruise control and taking control of the steering wheel for you. You liked it.
It was weird.
Yeah,
but it was not unpleasant.
Yeah, you had a smile on your face sitting behind the wheel, not really doing anything, as the car did it all for you. So
yeah.
It'd be interesting to see how you handle an electric vehicle and what your thoughts are after you get to do donuts in one in a completely silent operation.
Yeah.
So I have not been told exactly which vehicles, but there will be electric vehicles at the Tawa event that we're headed to this April. So
you're going to make me drive one, aren't you?
I am absolutely going to make you drive one. I'm going to get to drive first, but you are absolutely going to get behind the wheel of one, and it'll be a good time.
I tell you what, I'll make this deal with you right here on air live.
Okay.
If there is a Mach E GT there, I will drive it.
Well, that's not even a deal. Like, of course you're going to drive that. There's not going to be any twisting your arm there.
Well,
naturally. So yeah, that'll be. I'm hoping that is one of the rigs that'll be there. I've heard rumors of brands that are coming. So
frankly, with the way Ford's been operating lately, I'm not convinced anything's coming out till it's actually in production. So.
Yeah, if you've been following the woes of the Bronco launch, and if you are familiar at all with how they launched the current gen Ford Explorer, Ford's having some issues. Add on top of that a global chip shortage that is halting production on most vehicles. So General Motors is getting a lot of heat, so to speak, that they've cut production of their slower selling vehicles to allocate all their chips to their higher selling vehicles. So no Camaros being produced right now in favor of trucks and SUVs.
Yeah, I went over to our local Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram dealer here local because I wanted to sit in a Charger or Challenger. They had 3
of both models.
Of both models, and
cow.
2 of them were trade-ins.
Wow.
They had one new Charger because same thing. One of those chips are halting production on those cars, and so
it really goes back to technology, yes or no. This is definitely one of the downsides to all the technology that we come to expect in our vehicles nowadays, because a lot of production problems all coming down to a teeny tiny little chip that is required to make everything work. So it's been an interesting year of production and lack thereof in the automotive industry. So
one more note about Easter Jeep Safari. Did you notice your next vehicle is going to be there as well?
Oh, yeah?
The 392 Hemi-powered
I did notice
Wrangler
that.
JK.
And so I got to sample that concept at an event I went to this past fall, and it sounds amazing. I would absolutely love to have one because, let's face it, my current schedule, I'm not going to be doing a lot of off-road wheeling anywhere around here. There are some local places that I could take it to. Time is more my enemy than anything else. So to have a rig that just sounds and looks so mean and menacing on the road and is so capable off-road, I'd love to have it.
Yeah.
I'd also love to have the 4xe. So, back when I was commuting and I had maybe like a max of 15 miles per day round trip commute, I could go forever and never buy gas again and still load up and take it on a road trip and not have to worry about charging and stopping and plugging in anywhere.
That's true.
Best of both worlds, which, again, I don't understand why everybody's like, we're going full EV. We're going full EV. We're going full. Just make a compelling hybrid, for crying out loud. Even a plug-in hybrid. It's like we completely skipped over the plug-in hybrid stage.
Yeah.
And
I think a part of it is they're too efficient.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, because EVs, you get 250 to 350, 400 miles maybe with a good one. The plug-in hybrids, you get 500 plus miles out of them easy. Yeah. And that's with a little bitty electric assist to it. You know, the Pacificas are nearly touching 600 miles worth of range, and your backside's a lot more tired than the car is at 600 miles. So
that new Pacifica hybrid would be a perfect rig if I could finagle someone to loan us one for my wife and I, we've got this whole West Texas road trip planned that we are very much looking forward to. And that would be a awesome rig to put through its paces as we travel all across the state of Texas with our kiddo and load it up with all our stuff for this long trip. Multiple stops along the way. But yeah, we're going to have to find a decent rig to take on this trip. I don't know what we'll be driving, but I'm hoping and praying it's something that we can deliver news and insight to you, our listening audience, as we dig into it.
That's a not so subtle hint.
Yeah. Yeah. We've got connections. It's just making a compelling case,
right,
so to speak.
Right.
So to that end, you can help Matt and I out by, like we've said before, heading on over to gtgaragetalk.com. You can find the links to our YouTube channel, our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Follow us on all those platforms. Share us with all your friends. We've got some pretty awesome merch that I've been working on here lately. I'm a little proud of one of our newest designs in the This Little Light of Mine shirt.
Yeah.
I have not ordered one yet, but one will be ordered soon, I do believe, just because I'm very proud of that. So you can check that out on our website as well. Just click on the shop button, and that'll take you to our Teespring shop. We've got all kinds of merch for all kinds of situations.
I'm going to have to increase my my T-shirt budget just because of all the shirts you keep putting out.
I know. See, that's the big problem. Like, I've got tons of T-shirts as is, and I need to start getting rid of some so I can get some more Garage Talk shirts in my closet.
I went through and cleaned out a whole bunch of, this is total rabbit trail, way off in left field, very little to do with cars. I went through and cleaned it out, my 2 drawers of T-shirts that I had, and went to the ones that still fit, because I'm not the 150 pounds I was in college anymore. And so
I don't think you were 150. I think you were 115.
If I say it fast, nobody knows the difference. Yeah, I'm a little bigger than I was. So I have the shirts that fit now, and it went from 2 drawers, and because of the stuff that was in the dirty clothes and the stuff stacked on top of my dresser that wouldn't fit in the drawers, down to 1 drawer. And over half of those have something to do with cars.
Yeah. So for me, it's baseball, cars, and Texas. But we do thank you for listening each and every week. I know this episode was a little bit different. We do ask that you go and participate in our bracket challenge. We will be voting through the beginning of April, aligning with the madness that is the month of March and into April. Very excited to do this. It's fun. It was fun last year. It was a highlight of my morning, waking up and seeing who actually won each day and posting the next day's voting. So the bracket this year is twice as big. It's twice as exciting. It's so much fun, and just looking up and building on this each year. But yeah, go find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Vote. And have fun with us. Share with your friends.
Don't forget that if you're not voting Ford, you're voting wrong. So I'll just throw that out there.
That's up for debate. But we thank you for listening each week, and just love that you come back and support us each and every day, each and every week. Share with our friends. Head on over to gtgaragetalk.com. Let us know what you want to hear from us by shooting us an email at gtgaragetalk@gmail.com. Until next time, bye.